Undergoing seismic changes that no one saw coming, the missing evidence, the very documents they tried so desperately to erase from existence, has resurfaced and landed straight into the hands of investigators. What was once a hidden paper trail is now lighting up the truth, exposing the intricate conspiracy that was orchestrated to set you up. Years of their plotting are coming undone in real time as the puppet masters are dragged into the light by records they were too arrogant, or perhaps too careless, to fully eliminate. This isn't just a theory. This is reality unfolding. Everything that was concealed is being brought to the surface, and nothing can halt the momentum of what's next. The so-called smoking gun they thought would never appear has materialized, almost as if by divine intervention, proving that even their best efforts to bury the truth couldn't withstand a higher order. Their supposedly flawless crime has been exposed, and now every document, every damning message, texts, emails, WhatsApp conversations that they once believed would shield them has turned into the very evidence that destroys their web of lies. It's poetic justice. The insurance policy they held over your head is now the proof that condemns them. Being scrutinized in rooms you've never even entered, investigators are questioning the narrative, stacking documents that just don't fit the false story, watching as the inconsistencies become impossible to ignore. You can almost sense their panic as the evidence mounts, revealing fingerprints of financial crimes like embezzlement, fraud, and misappropriation. Crimes they tried to pin on you, but which now unmistakably trace back to them. Even officials who once believed their lies are now second-guessing, starting their own investigations and seeing the truth emerge. Imagine their fear as the narrative they built collapses and the false identity they forced on you is erased under the weight of undeniable facts. The evidence, loud and clear, confirms what you always knew deep down. You were the target of a calculated deception. You were never meant to walk away clean. You were always intended to bear the weight of crimes engineered by those who once pretended to stand with you in loyalty. Ironically, their downfall began the moment they tried to preserve evidence for their own security, never realizing that what they kept hidden would eventually turn against them. Their second critical mistake was underestimating the enduring force of truth, a force that might have been buried for a time, but was never truly dead. First among your betrayers was a family member who operated from within your inner circle, someone you once trusted completely. This person carried deep resentment for years, watching you live authentically while their own path seemed to stall. Their jealousy festered quietly, growing into a bitterness that finally became outright sabotage. Acting as the architect of your downfall, they moved in the shadows, convinced their betrayal would remain a secret forever. Then there was the manipulative matriarch, a figure who, beneath a veneer of care and compassion, was coldly calculating every step. To the outside world, this person appeared nurturing and supportive, but in reality, they were orchestrating your ruin with clinical precision, hiding ruthless intentions behind a mask of concern. This mastermind posed as an ally while carefully sabotaging your reputation and influence. Now their fingerprints stain the very evidence investigators are poring over. Finally, there was the insider embedded within the justice system, someone who exploited their trusted position to twist the course of the investigation. This conspirator discreetly redirected evidence, buried crucial documents, and fed misinformation to those meant to ensure fairness, effectively creating a blind spot in the very system designed to protect you. Together, these three formed a tightly coordinated triad, keeping their communications minimal and strategic, believing that limited contact would shield them from ever being exposed. They communicated through meticulously crafted channels, always using coded language and secure methods to keep their secrets safe. For a while, their operational security seemed impenetrable. But now, as the investigation gains momentum, those once flawless defenses are crumbling. The connections among these three conspirators are coming into sharper focus with every piece of evidence investigators gather. Trails, both digital and on paper, that once seemed unrelated are now merging into a clear, undeniable pattern pointing straight to those who thought they were untouchable. As the authorities piece it all together, the truth becomes clear. This was never a matter of bad luck or simple misunderstanding. It was a calculated and coordinated assault executed with chilling precision. The evidence has begun to reveal a deeply rooted financial manipulation. some of it spanning years, decades for a few victims. Each transaction now appears as a deliberate stroke in their grand scheme of fraud, every ledger entry a building block in the wall they constructed to cut you off from your rightful inheritance. They siphoned resources that were meant to empower your bloodline, diverting streams of abundance that should have nourished your destiny. For some, this conspiracy targeted family legacy, ancestral wealth, or inheritance, with assets that should have supported your future secretly funneled into their own bottomless accounts. The paperwork is saturated with signs of long-term embezzlement, a systematic fraud running through the documents like dark veins. These conspirators carefully constructed parallel financial realities. One presented to authorities that framed you as the wrongdoer, and another hidden world that exposed them as the real beneficiaries. Money that was rightfully yours was rerouted through a maze of shell companies, offshore accounts, manipulated records, and forged signatures, all revealing an obsession with theft that went beyond mere greed. Meanwhile, without the conspirators' knowledge, a silent investigation had already begun, advancing quietly and methodically, impossible to stop, like water slowly wearing down stone. This behind-the-scenes inquiry grew stronger as the web of connections became visible, expanding its reach well beyond what anyone first suspected. What started as a probe into a single suspicious incident sprouted branches into places investigators never thought to look, exposing a machinery of deception far more vast than initially imagined. At the center of this expanding case is an investigator whose instincts and intuition cut through the noise, a determined figure who sensed rot beneath the surface and refused to let inconsistencies go unchallenged. Guided by a relentless drive for justice, this investigator has methodically gathered evidence, each new discovery strengthening the case until what once seemed like speculation is now hard, irrefutable fact. Every detail overlooked in the early stages is now illuminated, making the evidence against your accusers more solid than ever. Quick pause, family. If this message is resonating with your soul and you'd love to support this sacred work, feel free to buy me a coffee. It keeps this space flowing with truth, light, and divine clarity. Link is in the description and drop number 88 in the comments. Let's continue. Among the newly uncovered evidence is proof so distinct, it's like finding a fingerprint at a crime scene, impossible to dispute or deny. For some, this proof comes in the form of a literal mark, like a unique tattoo linking the perpetrator directly to the wrongdoing. For others, the identifying trait emerges in subtler ways, such as a recognizable writing style, familiar turns of phrase, or even a habitual error that shows up time and again in falsified documents. These little details, once overlooked, now punch fatal holes in what seemed to be their airtight alibi. The carefully constructed narrative they relied on is now exposed as fundamentally flawed, and investigators examining the evidence with fresh eyes see the inconsistency standing out like a beacon against a dark sky. It's obvious, impossible to explain away, and impossible to ignore. As the evidence is chronologically organized, it reveals the evolution of their deception. Early documents showing only the bare bones of their plan, while later ones display the scheme in its fully developed and dangerous form. This timeline is more than a record. It's proof that their actions were premeditated, a long-term, calculated campaign, rather than a momentary lapse in judgment. Ironically, the very evidence they preserved to protect themselves now exposes their intention to frame you. Like a Trojan horse, they wheeled it in, unaware that it carried the seeds of their own undoing. Investigators can feel the wrongness of the story even before they can put it into words, drawn again and again to the documents that just don't fit the narrative. This intuitive sense of something being off, a natural recoil from manipulation and deceit, keeps the investigation moving forward, even when pure logic would have faltered. The power of this unique evidence goes beyond creating reasonable doubt. It obliterates the false narrative and replaces it with undeniable truth that directly points to their guilt and your innocence. The three main conspirators now appear as just the tip of the iceberg, and with the latest revelations, it's clear the network of co-conspirators runs far deeper and wider than anyone initially imagined. The evidence has torn away the veil, revealing an extensive web of affiliates whose reach spreads into unexpected and alarming territories. Your own experience, no matter how personal, violating, and targeted it felt, now reveals itself as just a small, intricate cog within a much larger machine of corruption. What once seemed like a bitter family dispute is now exposed as part of an organized criminal enterprise. Extended family members, nephews, cousins, even distant relatives, surface in the evidence not just as bystanders, but as participants or beneficiaries of this scheme. Communications and financial records further uncover ties to individuals described only as unsavory or not very nice people, drawing a direct line from your family's conspiracy to broader criminal networks willing to get involved for a share of the profits or future favors. As investigators dig deeper, the layers become more disturbing with each new revelation. What started as a probe into a single injustice quickly expands into a clear pattern of similar crimes perpetrated against others. You are not their first target, just their latest. But with the web now exposed, you will most certainly be their last. Together, we witness the slow unearthing of corruption more widespread than anyone could have predicted. A machinery so insidious that it grinds away at the very foundations of justice, warping the systems designed to protect the innocent and twisting the processes intended to reveal the truth. Your personal vindication, therefore, carries far-reaching consequences that extend beyond your individual case. Like a stone dropped in a still pond, the truth revealed in your situation sends ripples outward, promising to unmask and dismantle similar schemes, still ensnaring countless others who are suffering in silence. Even as the evidence piles up and the circle tightens around your accusers, they flounder in denial. Their thinking grows increasingly muddled and irrational, clouded by stress and fear, as their subconscious mind begins to accept what the conscious mind refuses to acknowledge. The easy financial gains they expected are slipping away. The money they were so certain would flow into their accounts is now out of reach, blocked as authorities freeze assets and scrutinize every transaction. Despite their crumbling reality, they desperately cling to the belief that they can still fight or appeal their way out. Psychologically, they're invested in their own illusion of victory, unable or unwilling to accept the defeat that is already unfolding. It's like watching a cartoon character keep running off a cliff, momentum carrying them forward in total denial until they finally look down. The reality of their situation hasn't fully sunk in yet, though anxiety now shows up physically. Restless nights, poor appetite, scattered focus. They sense that something is terribly wrong but keep blaming outside forces, not realizing that the truth about their crimes is what's coming to light. Each day their confusion deepens. Why hasn't the money arrived? Why are their lawyers struggling for answers? Subordinates avoid their calls, and even those they once trusted can no longer provide reassurance. We can see their fear mounting, panic flooding the very foundations of their lives, which are already cracking under the pressure. The psychological torment of knowing deep down that the walls are closing in, without fully understanding how or why, is paralyzing, robbing them of the ability to mount any effective response. Their carefully constructed scheme doesn't collapse in a single dramatic moment, but rather unravels quietly, thread by thread, piece by piece, until the entire framework stands exposed, unable to withstand the relentless force of truth now sweeping through like a hurricane. The timing of this evidence surfacing goes far beyond mere coincidence. It emerges at the exact moment when their defenses are down, when their confidence is at its highest, and when they truly believe they were untouchable. This revelation marks not just an end, but a profound turning point, destroying their old world and making way for something new to rise from the ashes. The impact of this timing is profound. The evidence appears not only to expose their crimes, but to do so when it matters most, while the trail is still fresh, while witnesses are accessible, and while the financial assets can still be recovered. It's as if fate itself intervenes, revealing the truth just as they reach out to seize the wealth and resources that rightfully belong to you, their hands outstretched for the fruits of their deception, close on nothing but air as those assets disappear, exposed by the very documents that land on investigators' desks at the critical moment. For so long they basked in certainty, convinced their perfect crime would remain undetected and their victory secure. But now the emergence of evidence at this devastatingly precise time shatters their sense of invincibility, making the fall even more catastrophic. The timing is almost poetic, proof that deception can only maintain its illusion of success until the destined moment of collapse arrives. This perfect alignment, this evidence surfacing at the optimal point for justice, is a testament to the underlying order within chaos and the harmony that inevitably dissolves discord. The moment of revelation carries as much weight as the information itself, amplifying the impact and leaving no chance for them to recover or adapt. Justice moves swiftly now, with legal machinery engaged and unstoppable. Concrete consequences loom on the horizon, crystal clear to anyone willing to look beyond denial. The financial assets they scheme to steal will never be theirs. The funds, properties, and resources they coveted are set to return to you, along with additional compensation for the suffering and emotional damage caused by their prolonged campaign of deceit. Their desperate attempts to overturn these findings will be so thoroughly defeated that this case will become a cautionary tale for years to come. Every motion they file, every appeal they attempt, will only further strengthen the case against them. With each argument the conspirators present, even more evidence of their guilt comes to light. Details that had previously gone unnoticed are now exposed for all to see. The fraud they orchestrated over decades now carries consequences far beyond civil penalties, plunging into the realm of criminal prosecution. Because every new act of concealment resets the statute of limitations for many financial crimes, the full force of the law will now address not only the original wrongdoing, but also the entire campaign of cover-ups and deceit that followed. Soon, public recognition of the injustice committed against you will be undeniable. Their humiliation will not be confined to the privacy of a courtroom. Instead, their names will become publicly and permanently tied to a case that sets a precedent for this kind of deep familial betrayal and financial fraud. The fallout doesn't stop with your case. Their legal troubles will grow as the investigation shines a spotlight on broader criminal connections, unraveling networks and partnerships that were previously hidden. Every affiliate, every link in the extended criminal enterprise will face scrutiny and consequences, all stemming from the initial discovery of evidence in your situation. It's painfully clear now. By targeting you, they only dug themselves deeper into a grave of their own making. In trying to frame an innocent person, they created a case against themselves more damaging than anything they might have faced for the original crime. The punishment for fabricating evidence and framing you is even harsher than what they sought to avoid through their deception, a cosmic irony that will only hit them fully at the moment of sentencing. The documents and communications investigators have uncovered leave absolutely no room for doubt. In black and white, the conspiracy is spelled out with such methodical precision that it's impossible to misinterpret or explain away. Their attempts to create the illusion of mistaken identity are exposed in messages between conspirators, where they discuss in explicit detail how to arrange evidence to implicate you and shield themselves from accountability. The documents now spread across investigators' tables reveal a pattern of systematic manipulation, altering dates, fabricating signatures, and creating false transactions, all carefully crafted to cast you as the perpetrator of their crimes. The conversations between the three main conspirators include damning instructions: make it look like, pin it on, shift blame toward that, statements that remove any doubt about their deliberate intent to destroy you. These actions were never accidental or innocent mistakes, but calculated moves to reach a predetermined goal. The evidence now demonstrates, with absolute clarity, their explicit intent to steal not only your reputation, but all that rightfully belonged to you. Everything they took from you was meant to be returned, but not as a rightful owner. Instead, they plotted to cast you as the apparent thief. The financial structures they carefully built were designed to point all evidence toward you, ensuring that any investigation would lead straight to your door, while their real gains continued to flow quietly into their own pockets. Now it's clear that their efforts to make you look like the sole wrongdoer were never the result of an impartial investigation, but rather a conscious, deliberate strategy. As each document is examined, the meticulous detail of their frame-up becomes more apparent. the crafting of a false narrative, the strategic placement of misleading evidence, and every calculated maneuver to deflect suspicion away from themselves. Ironically, the very thoroughness they relied on to seal your fate is now working in favor of justice. Each step they documented now serves as undeniable proof of their malicious intent. The evidence collected doesn't just partially clear your name, it delivers total, irrefutable vindication. All doubts eliminated, and your innocence is no longer in question. The documents they hoped would be your undoing have become the very foundation of your freedom. What was once missing evidence has been found, and rather than sealing your fate, it now serves to prove your innocence beyond any doubt. You stand fully vindicated as the spotlight of suspicion turns to expose the true culprits. Authorities now see the full picture, a deliberate attempt to frame you for crimes you never committed. This realization brings not only the complete clearing of your name, but also active compensation for the immense damage caused by this prolonged campaign of slander and financial manipulation. The resources that were rightfully yours begin to flow back to you, often accompanied by additional compensation for the period of illegal deprivation. The abundance meant to empower your journey is now free from the barriers and diversions created by those who tried to steal it for themselves. After so long being wrongly accused and burdened with suspicion you never deserved, a new era of joy begins with the sunrise of your vindication. The emotional weight that once held you down is lifted, allowing you to finally expand into the life that was always meant for you. All temporary hardships caused by their deception melt away in the face of overwhelming evidence. Evidence so strong it cannot be denied, explained away, or reinterpreted. Your vindication is as complete as the deception was extensive, total, absolute, and without a single shadow of doubt remaining. The time of hiding is over. Justice is now in full bloom. Everything that was done to you in secret is exposed by a truth so powerful it blinds those who tried to destroy you. They targeted the wrong person, not realizing you were protected in ways beyond their comprehension. The machinery they built to crush you now grinds them between its gears, while you stand untouched, safe beyond its reach. From the start, we witnessed their lies and manipulation, always seeing the truth, even when others chose to believe the deception. And now, we stand firmly beside you as your vindication arrives, with a force powerful enough to reshape the very reality around you. The evidence is no longer just a rumor or a hope. It exists, it has been found, and it is irrefutable. Piece by piece, the case against those who targeted you is building itself into an unbreakable structure. Their panic intensifies with every new revelation as justice moves closer, picking up unstoppable momentum that sweeps away all their lies and illusions. Remember the distinctive tattoo mentioned at the very start? That mark is not just a symbol, it's a physical manifestation of a connection that can never be severed or erased. For some, this is actual ink, visible in evidence photographs, directly linking the perpetrator to a scene they claimed never to have visited. For others, this tattoo reveals itself in subtler forms. A unique signature, a recognizable handwriting style, or an unmistakable pattern that repeats itself across forged documents, betraying the hand that tried to remain hidden. Whether literal or metaphorical, this marking burns through every layer of deception like acid through paper, stripping away any defense they might offer. In evidence rooms and investigators' offices, this singular identifying trait shines like a beacon, impossible to ignore now that the right eyes are looking in the right places. The thorns of this mark, whether etched on skin or woven into words, now pierce those who thought they could weaponize it against you. What they once used to intimidate, to threaten, or to claim power now stands as irrefutable evidence of their presence, in every place, at every time, where they once denied ever being. No explanation, no story, no excuse can erase or justify its existence in the very moments and locations where evidence was tampered with, documents were altered, or money was stolen. That mark, meant to shield them, has become their undoing. But your vindication is bigger than your personal story. The truth unfolding in your case is sending shockwaves outward, a ripple effect that reaches others who have suffered under similar schemes and false narratives. Your fight, your case, is now becoming a blueprint for exposing a pattern of deception that has trapped so many in webs of lies constructed by those who knew how to manipulate evidence and bend reality. As your name is cleared and the weight lifts, doors that were once slammed shut in your face now swing wide open. Opportunities that were diverted to benefit others finally find their way back to you. The flow of resources, recognition, and respect is redirected to its rightful source. You, the true owner of your story and your destiny. This isn't just a gentle correction or a minor adjustment. It is a seismic transformation that shakes the very foundations of your life. Everything shifts. Your relationships, your resources, your reputation, all are renewed through the overwhelming force of truth. Finally breaking free, what once felt like living on unstable ground, always wary of the next attack or the next suspicion, now becomes a life grounded in the solid bedrock of authenticity and real freedom. The sheer distinctiveness and power of the evidence ensures that this change isn't temporary. This is a permanent rewriting of your story, a transformation so profound that it forever alters how others see your role in everything that has happened. This isn't some distant hope. It's a confirmation of what's happening right now. Your vindication is not on the horizon. It's already here, manifesting more clearly with every passing day. The evidence has not only emerged, it has been secured. The truth is not waiting to be uncovered. It now stands fully revealed, leaving no room for denial or doubt. You, who were once targeted, framed, and nearly buried under the weight of deception, now step boldly into the light of complete exoneration. You are not just cleared, you are vindicated. You are not just released from accusation, you are restored to your rightful place and empowered by the stark contrast between their darkness and your light. Today, the court case changes forever. The missing evidence speaks, and your complete vindication unfolds right now. The season of waiting ends. The era of justice begins, and the truth finally prevails. You, always innocent, always worthy, and always protected in ways they could never comprehend, stand victorious as their entire house of lies collapses, reduced to nothing more than dust blown away by the unstoppable winds of cosmic justice. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you, even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from the